Hi everyone, Materim here again with Battle Report number 100. Pretty awesome milestone. And this is going to be my second practice game with my 1,000 point Lizardmen army. This one is against Michael and his High Elves. Again, we are using all of the army composition rules for our upcoming narrative campaign. So you'll notice very little in the way of magic items and such. So let's get into deployment. We have a unit of 5 Silver Helms. They've been toted. A Fire Phoenix. A unit of Elf Spearmen. He has a Noble BSB in there with a Halberd. I also think he wrongly put the Shield of Merwim in there because he thought that it was only great weapons that negated the parry that you get, but it's actually any weapon that requires 2 hands, so that was kind of wasted points. He has a second unit of Spearmen, and there is a level 2 mage with, high magic that he has there. The one thing you will notice if you're paying attention is this army has no shooting in it. So I was very happy to see that because it's nice. I was in a position last game where I was able to outshoot the Wood Elves, and I think I'll be able to outshoot the High Elves too, because they got nothing. So over here on my side, vanguarded up probably way too far, are my Ripperdactyls. They're really interested in getting them some of that Silver Helm action and seeing if they can do any better against them than the Dryads. Then over here, wanting to make use of all of the water on this side, I've got both of my 10-man Skink Skirmisher units. Each of those has a patrol leader in it. Then I have my Bastillodon with the solar engine. I've got my Saurus Warriors with Gorokoth, my general, Enchanted Shield, Mapikaju, my level 2 Lore of Heavens mage, and Kubanai, the Skink Chief with the Dragon Helm, who's serving as my battle standard bearer right now. And then protecting the other flank, I have my Salamander with the extra Skink Handler on him. So my opponent actually gets first turn here, and this is what I said about having vanguarded them up way too far. He succeeds a charge into my Rippers, and that was exactly not what I wanted to have happen. But this is the reward you get for sloppy play, so I should just shut up and take my medicine. Then over here, the Phoenix doesn't have enough movement to get behind me, so he moves up a little bit so he can do that next turn. And his other 2 blocks just move up as one. They're kind of presenting this phalanx style guard as he's coming forward. Again, I'm pretty happy. I actually want to see what the Skinks can do up against a big monster, because I think those poison shots are definitely going to help there. So during magic phase, he gets off Soul Quench, I think, on my Saurus Warriors, but he only manages to kill one of them. And whatever other spell he has, I think I stop. Either that or he didn't have enough dice for it. I don't quite recall, but that's all he gets done. So we go straight into combat, and his Silver Helms just obliterate my Rippers, which is really a shame. Silver Helms, they do a decent amount of damage, but I get a bunch of attacks back and end up scoring, I think I rolled 10 attacks, scored 5 hits, needing to wound on 3s with Killing Blow, and I failed all 5, so I did nothing to the unit, and basically even if you take a little damage, you break and get run down. So my turn, my Skinks want nothing to do with those Silver Helms, so I'm not March blocked, so I run up into the water to get within shooting range of the Fire Phoenix, because I want to pump as many blowgun shots into that little guy, or that big guy, as I can. Hopefully take him down. Then on this side, Bastillodon turns so he can get front arc on the Silver Helms and the Phoenix, depending upon what I need to do. I use that laser gun and kind of thin one or the other of them down. And everything else kind of moves up. I definitely want to get that Salamander into a position where he can start sending that breath weapon or that flame template into those very soft, tasty elves. And I'm just marching forward my Saurus. So I end up doing, I don't remember what spell it was. The end result of the spell was immaterial because I was just fishing for those D6 Strength 4 hits from the Lore of Heavens. But I don't manage to wound with any of them. So I think he has like -1 to hit and -1 leadership or something like that. And then my skink skirmishers just say, back off with that magic stuff and let us show you how it's done. I unleash a ridiculous number of attacks. I think it's something like 40 shots I throw into this Phoenix and just absolutely vaporize it. Spoiler alert, he either forgets to do the whole D6 roll to see if he comes back to life, or he fails it. We actually played 2 more games, and he never succeeded bringing the thing back to once in 3 games. So over here, I end up doing the breath weapon or the flame template from the salamander, and just barely brush the front, like 4 guys in that unit, but they're elves, so they all end up dying. So we go into my opponent's turn, and this is his turn too, and he just decides, you know what, screw this waiting, I need to get into combat, and charges with everything. He ends up succeeding getting his smaller unit into combat with the salamander, and the bigger unit into combat with the Saurus. Again, I stayed with the salamander mainly to see what it can do in combat. I know it's got that weird monster and handlers rule, so I'm thinking maybe that'll keep him alive a little bit. But I would be incorrect. The spearmen just absolutely slaughter the salamander, and they try to overrun just to get out of line of sight in case I break this unit, and roll 3, so they slide up just a little bit, and that's about it. Then over here, it is a bad day to be a Saurus. His BSB and my general get into a challenge, and he just smotes my general. And the rest of the spearmen actually do a pretty decent job thinning down the Saurus. I'm just not rolling armor saves for much anything. I do a few wounds back, but I lose this combat. But luckily, I have cold-blooded, and it keeps me around. So we go to my turn. Bastiladon comes running over here so that he can laser beam this other spearman unit before they can turn around and get into the action against the Saurus block, because right now I'm not losing by much, like 2 or 3, and the cold-blooded is basically making up the difference. If that other unit gets in there, I know I'm not going to have, or not going to be able to continue succeeding those rolls. But that's really all the movement I've got. So I let loose with the laser beam in combat and end up doing a couple of wounds to these spearmen. Where is the mage? The mage might have miscast at this point or something. I know the mage miscast at one point and gets blown off the board. I think that might be what has already happened. That might have happened last turn, but I don't recall. Over here, my skinks are turning around. The laser beam last turn did do a couple of wounds to the Silverhelms, so you see they're down a few fellas. I'm hoping the skinks will be able to go ahead and finish them off this turn. Okay, and this must have been when I hit with... Oh, no, I remember. So I end up hitting with the 3 guys on the back of the Bastiladon, and end up doing enough wounds to cause a panic check, and he fails it, so he turns and runs off. Combat goes on here. I accept his challenge from his BSB with my champion. They actually, I'm pretty sure they're fluffing at each other right now, but the spearmen end up taking another couple out. Again, I lose this by 1 or 2 from just static combat res, but I'm not going anywhere. The problem is my swords are just absolutely flubbing in combat. I'm not hitting anything, and that's super bad. So on his turn, he charges the 1 skink unit with the Silverhelms, and I was dumb here. I chose to flee. I probably should have just took it and see if I could do any more damage to him. But I fled, and they easily catch me. It was just an absolutely bad call. And over here, his spearmen rally and turn back around to face. Now, this is bad because they're far enough back now where they can actually do a charge on the Saurus unit because of the two skink characters that are sticking off to the side there. So I need to get my Bastiladon up and prevent that from happening. So we go into combat. I think the only Saurus to die this turn was the champion in the challenge. I kill another elf, and again, I'm losing the battle. But cold blooded is an amazing freaking rule, and I will hear no arguments to the contrary. Then here, the Bastiladon charges, and I don't recall whether he chose to flee or whether he failed his fear check from the terror. But he does flee, rolls absolutely terribly, and the Bastiladon ends up being able to charge enough to catch them and run them down. Then over here, the skinks turn around and move up to, again, try and throw poison darts at the super heavily armored Silverhelms. And over here, the Saurus finally remember what the hell they're supposed to do in combat. His BSB fluffs for the first time, and the Saurus just show up and take out like a rank plus of spearmen. So I win this one, but he ends up making his break check and doesn't go anywhere. So then we go to my opponent's turn, and really there's not much going on. He ends up killing one more of the Saurus, and again the Saurus show up and do some damage, enough to break the unit, and we run them down, and this is where my opponent concedes the game. So, second victory for the Lizardmen. All my opponent has on the table when he concedes the game is the 3 Silverhelms. I've still got a lot. He didn't. Basically, all he got the points for was the skirmishers, my general, and the rippers, and my salamander. So, again, I'm very pleased with this list. It does seem to be very balanced. I can deal with a lot of different threats. And for the most part, my opponents so far have taken kind of skewed lists in different ways. So I think it definitely handles those well. We'll see sort of once we get into the actual tournament. And as I did allude to, Michael and I played 3 games this night. Basically same army, just kind of rapid fire, boom, boom, boom. I did end up winning all 3. And apparently instilling in him a hatred of the skink skirmishers, which is probably going to hurt me in the actual campaign, because he's certainly going to be targeting them very, very quickly, and I'm going to have to learn how to deal with that. But all in all, it was a fun game. I think I am learning about the Lizardmen, kind of learning their strengths and weaknesses. I'm also trying to focus on learning the lore of Heavens. It's alright. I didn't get Comet any of the 3 games, which is kind of a big spell for them. I've never been a huge fan of Heavens, so I'm kind of doing this to learn it. And I don't know, I still don't think I'm a very big fan of Heavens, so maybe if anybody wants to clue me in on what the awesomeness of that particular lore is, I'd be more than happy to hear it. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and we'll catch you on the next one.